exactly. And also, I mean, nowadays some of the crime is they kind of theft the data, and then for data analytics, for other people to do research, to analyze, to study the behavior and all things. So even you lose a copy of your data, probably there's no direct attack in terms of you being victimized because you still got a copy of it. But if I get a copy of the, let's say, the iPhone or the Facebook from everybody, and if I do data analytics, I do a lot of those analysis using the big data. Now I may come up with another model so that I could outcompete my competitors. I could use for other uses, or I could even sell the final product to somebody. Now, it looks like there's victimness. Who is the victim, right?
Right.
So that's why no people really, even though you report it, there's no jurisdiction.
So even if my Facebook data was stolen by Cambridge Analytica
Right.
because of a professor who committed fraud and
Right.
turns over a database,
Right.
now I look and say, how much was taken
Yeah.
from me? Maybe not. Maybe it's a big deal, but what really is useful is turn that into data analytics. Cambridge Analytica
Right.
is more than just a robbery firm. They're into using that data that they got through illegitimate means
Right.
to influence an election.
Right.
And that, influencing public opinion, is worth real coin if you can use your knowledge to do something else. Now you're looking and saying, what exactly was the crime? You solved some
Yeah.
Facebook data. How bad is that? You
Exactly.
influence public opinion that might have influenced an election. Well, we've been influencing public opinion for a
Right.
long time. Is that a crime?
Yeah.
Probably, but it's kind
Yeah.
of hard to prove,
Exactly.
and you're gonna have a lot of steps here.
Right. So that's why you can see that a lot of the human behavior, a lot of people assessing the impact of a crime or try to identify the victim of the crime. It's very difficult. For these types of things, it's to do with the advanced technology. It's really the totally new ways of we see things, and also the way we try to legislate. Now think about it. I mean, especially when human is involved, we talk about laws, right? How are we going to define a law to deal with something that you haven't lost, right? I mean,
Right.
you still have your data there, and somebody take out of it, and I didn't use it to blackmail you or ask you anything, but I'm making value out of what you consider sitting there as nothing.
Right.
I could make value of
I'm
it,
using
and
your
I'm using
database
it exactly,
in a
and
way
I
that
sell it, right?
hurts your company, although it's not obvious to you that I'm
Right.
doing it. I'm selling your customer list.
Right. Yeah. So
Okay.
so that's why it's sometimes even for the traditional way of considering to legislate against that, it's very difficult. It's like theft of data, right? In general, if I'm cheating on an exam, I'm kind of sold us.
So the good news is,
Right.
in many countries, including the USA, it is a crime now to commit what they call in the US economic espionage. Other countries look at the impacts on society or impacts on national security or impacts in some way and have passed laws for crimes.
Right.
And so we can actually say this is a crime if I can prove you've done this. This is more than just a security threat. This is a crime. But it has to, the hurdle to prove that is high.
Right.
And so that's not easy.
Yeah. So for example, I mean, yeah, for that part is for companies, right? Let's say there's certain company secret, certain
Right.
things that you have, and I'll try to get hold of that, and then I'll use it against you. Definitely. What happens if I use an example? Let's say you are the government. There's a lot of medical data in the public health sector, right? With the hospitals, with the right. I'll be able to hack into that and obtain those data, and I pass it to pharmaceutical company. They do research to come up with other new remedy to address
Right.
some of the, and then I get some benefit out of it, right?
Right.
So whether
You wanted your data private. They
Right.
stole it,
right,
but it's helping society.
right, and also
That's a bit of an odd
I throw
one.
away
Yeah.
all your personal ID things, so it's no data, personal data privacy issues concerned, right? They won't
Right.
know your name, your thing. They just know there's a male, age 45, that is his medical record. A female, age 72, that's her medical record,
But
etc.
it still might be very valuable.
It's very valuable, definitely very valuable.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
so people could be able to predict, certain early
Uh-huh.
aging of certain disease or whatever.
So it matters in biotech, it matters in pharmaceuticals, it
Right.
matters in research, it matters in politics.
Right.
Why does it matter in fintech?
Yeah, and also think about in fintech
Oh,
as well,
okay.
right? So I'll be able to predict some of the opinion of people. I mean, how they're going to invest or how they respond to certain news, etc.
So I know how to advertise my Bitcoin, my new ICO.
Right. Yeah,
I can take my new ICO out and make a lot of money.
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. So that's why
Okay.
I think the human use of data make it now very difficult to, in terms of security, we talk about try to prevent it, try to deter people of doing illegal acts, and try to identify or detect if there's a security incident. And the third part, obvious, is to prosecute, right? But if you look at all these, right, I mean, in the cyber world, a lot of these issues will be very, very different from the physical world. And at the present moment, unless a country decided that I come up with a totally new set of legal system to legislate in the cyber world. Now, if you do something like that, then it got to be a collaboration among all countries in the world, because I mean, there's no boundary, no jurisdiction, right? So if I log in into the internet and I'll communicate with you in another country, so what
You're
jurisdiction
gonna-
is that?
You're going to advocate that countries all over the world cooperate on cybersecurity when we can't collaborate on global warming,
Global warming, yeah,
nuclear weapons,
yeah,
international
exactly,
trade.
exactly, yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
really, cybersecurity is on the top of your list compared to nuclear war.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
That's a tough one.
tough one, tough one. It is
Yeah.
a tough one. So that's why some of those criminals are very, very smart. As long as they keep it under the radar, and
But one of the dilemmas is what you call a criminal, someone else may call a hero. Is Edward Snowden a criminal or is he a hero?
Yeah.
It depends on your perspective.
that's true. That's true.
And
also
it depends
different
on which country he
the
happens to
country,
be
yeah,
living in at
exactly,
the time.
Yes,
You know,
and-
and he
and-
may be a hero now in Russia and a criminal in the U.S., but maybe in time Russia and U.S. might get along better, or
Right.
they say, we'll turn over Snowden. He says, I better go to China or
Right.
somewhere else, you know,
Right.
and where I can now be a new hero.
Right, yeah.
Okay, maybe we will cooperate on
Yeah.
something.
So, and also the way a lot of the human behavior in cybercrime is very different from traditional crime. In traditional, we talk about violence, right? Mainly it's by force. Now it's by intellectual ability. It's just skill. Is intellectually you define a model. For example, nowadays, right? If I could do a theft of identity, I could be able to digitally authenticate as Ted Clark to do a lot of things in the fintech environment.
And sometimes
Right.
the insiders that you're using to hack may be duped. They may not be intentionally harming their own company. They just may be naive or allowing you in because they're not very good at protecting security, or they're not very good at realizing that you're not with internal audit. You just had a nice uniform and a good business card and you just committed fraud. And so sometimes humans can be your weakest link in security, not because they're intentionally criminals,
Right.
but because they're naive.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I use another example. Is, for example, let's say I got an ATM card. I got money in the bank, right? But let's say suddenly I'm going to leave the country. I say, okay, Ted, I owe you $2,000. Use my ATM and just, I trust you. Just take out $2,000 and then,
Yes,
right?
I'll take your ATM.
Now think about it.
I need the pen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you the pin as
Oh,
well.
thank you.
Now think about the whole thing, right? Now the money is definitely my money, and I mean the bank should have no problem, me allowing you to access the money and get the money as long as I agree to that. But think about it, you
Sure.
access into the banking system. Now the bank issued the ATM card to me. Now
Right.
that's the bank system. Now would the bank allow somebody to further authorize another person to access into their system, or their system is only allowed me to access only? Now, if that is the case, I
Well,
commit a
think-
criminal act, right?
I think there's about $2 million of money that I need to put into that account and launder it and move it to somewhere else so you can be guilty of money laundering. No, that'll get you in trouble.
Yeah. So you can
And
see
maybe
that,
the
right?
bank, yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it's very difficult. It's like access to a system, whether
Yeah.
you have that authority to access,
So
or
even
whether
if I'm not stealing,
I
I
have-
may be committing a crime.
yeah, you can make it.
that you don't even care about or know about until many years later somebody's, what are you doing all this money laundering
Right.
for?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know
Money
that.
laundering is definitely another
Yeah.
issue. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Well, so cybersecurity, one of the weakest links in any system is the people. And you could have the best technology in the world. If your humans are weak, you've got problems. Those humans may be weak because of incentives that they want to steal and they want to profit from the hardship of their own company. Sometimes they're just incompetent or naive. And sometimes they're tricked. Sometimes they're the weakest link. And so the best security in the world, if you don't have good HR policies, good training, good people, good vetting, you can have problems there.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.